so I'm not used to just standing right here. I like to wander around. My dad's a Baptist minister, as you may know. My granddad, my great-granddad, my great-uncle. People look at me, they say, what happened to you? Well, the Lord wanted to keep me out of politics, so He kept me out of the Southern Baptist pulpit and put me in Congress instead. I know some Baptists in here. I can see you shaking your heads. Thank y'all for having me. I really appreciate it. I'm going to be real up front with you because I'm pretty transparent. I got to get back because I promised my wife earlier in the week that I would watch our 2-year-old while she goes and gets a pedicure. Now, I know this is live, but don't tell anybody, and I hope my wife's not watching. But so that's my mission. That's why I've got to get back to Little Rock because if my first job, I've got a lot of jobs. But my first job is keeping everybody at the house happy. In any event, thank you for letting me be here. I'm glad to have the Okies here. Glad to have I have a really good friend in your Lieutenant Governor, Matt Pinnell, and also your floor leader that I was just texting with on the way in here. And he said that you're on his team? Well, let me just tell you, I won't read what he said, but he said all good things about all of y'all. But he said in particular that you're on his team, and he has been very helpful to me, very supportive, and thank y'all for coming over here. Y'all didn't have to do that, and I appreciate it. I like to start out with something a little lighthearted. Normally, if I could think of a joke, some of you jokes are not funny. Senator. Now, did Senator Elect Sullivan, did he make it?
No, he had
Yeah, okay. Well, good to see you here. Senator Clark, I will say as an aside, is awesome. I get to preside over the Senate as Lieutenant Governor, and he is one of the key people on conservative issues, whether it be Second Amendment, school choice, lots of other really important stuff, and so we got to keep this guy there as long as the law will allow, because he's a rock star, and his wife is probably wild, right? She's awesome too. So let me just say this. I like to start out with something lighthearted. I'm trying to think of something funny. So what I decided on is I can't get my head around this concept that there were once a group of people calling for the abolishment of ICE, right? They want to get rid of ICE.
They're still there.
And some of those people, I guess, don't want borders. So they want to abolish ICE. Well, now those same radical left folks are the ones saying defund the police. Well, wait a minute. I think these are the same people that said only the police should have guns. So the people that said only the police should have guns are now the people saying that the police are racist and should be defunded. It just makes no sense, folks. But here's the good news. That's not mainstream America. Most folks in this country, regardless of background, regardless of color, creed, whatever else, most folks don't believe that way. These are people on the fringe. They do not represent any sort of serious conversation in this country. And, to be frank, we shouldn't spend too much time on them because they are very much, very, very much loud, yes, but very much a tiny, tiny group of people that do not deserve a seat at the table and do not deserve too much of our energy. And let me say that we got to recognize they're there. We got to be vigilant. But make no mistake about it. I can tell you this is for sure the case in Oklahoma and in Arkansas. I don't meet hardly anybody anywhere that agrees with that message. And so that's the good news. But let me talk a little bit about the Second Amendment. So if I was standing up here a year ago, we'd be talking about the Second Amendment in many ways as a hypothetical, having a firearm that hypothetically you might need to use at some point, right? That you'd be preparing in case you ever have to protect your family. And there are other reasons to have it, for sport. Heck, I collect. Got a number of them. There are a lot of reasons. But let me tell you, fast forward a year to today, and then you realize how practical and necessary, not hypothetical, how practical and necessary and essential the Second Amendment is to the broader government and country that we live in. You know, we often say, and there are groups that focus on the Second Amendment like this one, there are other groups that focus on the First Amendment and all. I like to say it's not a cafeteria plan. It's not like going through the line at Frankie's and getting, you know, double purple whole pea salad and collard greens like I do, turnip greens. It's not a cafeteria plan. All of the amendments, the Bill of Rights, are there together. And it's times like these when you realize it's there for a purpose. I'm going to tell you a little real life story. So, I have firearms. I have AR-15, lots of other firearms that I use to practice. The AR-15 is a lot like what we use in the military. And that's why I wanted to get one, so that I would, it's not automatic, but it's one that feels like what I shoot in the military, at least when I was a company grade officer. Now I shoot a Beretta 9 in the military. But I have these firearms, and I've always said, if someone comes in my home, I'm ready, right? That's a pretty basic concept. A lot of Americans, lots of Americans have that at the ready to protect their home. It's a pretty basic concept. But it's very rare in our lives in this country that we have a feeling of unease about civil unrest generally, right? We may hear that someone's going around our neighborhood breaking in cars or breaking in homes, and there may be a specific heightened fear over those incidents, and then they catch that person or whatever. Yeah, that happens. Some neighborhoods more than others, that happens. But a general feeling that maybe none of us in this whole area are safe because of uncertainty, that's not common in this country. In fact, I don't know if I've ever felt the unease about my safety, and in particular a 2-year-old, a 10-year-old, my 13-year-old. I can't remember in my life, maybe I forgot it, but I can't remember feeling so concerned, not in a inflammatory sort of big talking kind. No, I'm talking about real genuine parent concerned about the safety of my kids and my family. I don't think I ever felt it until this year, until the last, I don't know, 3 weeks. Ever. So when that started happening, I started calling some of my neighbors I know shoot a lot, hunt a lot. And I got one in particular who's always sort of talking to police and listening to what the rumors are and all. And let me tell you what, the practicality and the genius and the wisdom of the Second Amendment became real in those moments in a way they had never before. Never before. It's one thing to academically talk about what might happen one day and that you have the right to do this, and all that's great. It's another thing to count on, to lean on. It's the difference between having a cane in the corner and having to use it to walk. You're experiencing it, right? And so I started calling my neighbors, and I've often joked as a military guy that, you know, foreign countries would have a tough time taking this country because every house is full of, not every house, but a lot of houses, most houses, have some kind of firearm somewhere, and, you know, every 5th house is stocked. It's hard to take a country like that. Well, we sort of take all that for granted. But in the middle of all this uncertainty, particularly I'd say 2.5 weeks ago maybe, I'm calling around and I find that this neighbor is ready to protect their home, and this neighbor is ready to protect their home. And when they start talking about what they've got to protect their home, what they have access to, man, I started to think, this is unique to our country. We have this capacity in a way, constitutionally guaranteed, that other countries don't. The founders knew what they were talking about. Different weapons, different threat, different times, but they knew. And let me tell you something. You don't have to go too far back in history to find a time when my great-great-grandfather, just living every day on a frontier, was experiencing the type of things, maybe from animals as well as potential intruders or hostile people, right? So all of this stuff that we're going through, and this too shall pass. I was living during part of the 60s. I was on a bottle then. So I don't have a lot of memories of it. And I know there's been unrest before. And we'll get through this. And we'll be stronger than ever. And some good stuff will come out of it. No question. Americans have the ability to do that. But in the meantime, it is very encouraging to me to know that our founding document is on the side of protecting my home. And the founding document is on the side of protecting my children and securing my life. And I was really encouraged in the middle of all this, in a very rational, respectful way. The neighbors that I spoke with were ready to do what they had to do to make sure that their family and loved ones and property weren't screwed around with. Because you never know. The stuff that's run around on social media and all, in terms of the rumors, you just don't know.